Well, I mean, some people do wonder if, people are mistaking Bigfoot for a dogman. I mean, I could see that possibly happening late at night in some cases, but the problem is everybody talks about seeing this huge, long snout, like a muzzle, like on a German Shepherd, and it's difficult to reconcile that with a Bigfoot, which has more of like an ape-like face. So, in that sense, I personally, I don't think the people are mistaking Bigfoot, but some researchers do.
Well, I was about to ask you, and we got the question in chat as well. I have experienced the lights, the spook lights, I guess for lack of a better term, at Thomas Divide and the Cherokee National Park. And at some point, I hope to join a friend's expedition going to Brown Mountain to investigate the lights there, although that one has me a bit more aware of what the possibilities are in that investigation. But have you
can find reports like those lights, strange lights everywhere. There's not too far from me, there's a area of forest called the Big Thicket.
Yes.
Now they get Bigfoot reports and strange lights as well. So, there are a lot of really, odd things going on. So.
Well, I find those interesting because my husband was all fine with me going to Brown Mountain until he learned that there had been, disappearances, abductions, whatever, and that the search parties who were looking for one of the individuals, actually two of the individuals, the search parties disappeared as well. And at that point, he was not quite as okay with the idea as he had been originally. But the Thomas Divide lights are quite different in that they're multicolored. I see them every time I go to look for them, but they're supposed to be unusual. One of the forest rangers said that her children have gone up to Thomas Divide every chance they get and have never seen them. And I just thought that you saw them, it's like a show, right?
Yeah.
But I do know that they show up everywhere. Denise in chat says that hers are in Joplin, Missouri. And I know that I think that goes back toward Native American tales and experiences as well. Because it's always a divide of some type. It's in a mountainous region.
Yeah.
And when you have a divide like that, then, they show up. It just fascinates me. And having seen them, and they were a little sneaky, they showed, usually they're across from me. And time before last that I went, I noticed that while I was trying to do something with my camera, I looked up and one was on my side of the divide. And I thought, I'm not really cool with this, and I'm sure you mean no harm, but I'm just going to leave right now. But my name is Kat, and if you see me again, you'll know it's me. And maybe we'll talk. And I left.
That's not a bad way to handle it, sort of like an interaction, if you can do it.
Well, I didn't screech off, I could have. I was in my husband's little car, but, I didn't want to startle it just because I was startled. And have you, when you're doing your research and stuff, and when you go out and you're doing stuff with your friends, and y'all are talking about all of these things, what is the predominant thought on that?
What, about doing research, you mean?
Field research on these.
I think, doing field research is the best approach you can take. You can find a ton of material on the internet about Bigfoot or the Chupacabra, but you're not literally going to find them on the internet. You've got to go out looking for these things. I mean,
Yes.
Good example is a good friend of mine, Shelley Montana, and Shelley lives in the Dallas area as well, and she quite literally goes out into the Pacific Northwest woods every year for about 3 months. Like 20,
wow.
30 miles into the woods. I'm not kidding. She goes out there for that amount of time. She takes her truck and she's got like a filter device so she can drink, stream water for 3 months, and she takes huge amounts of like dried food, which you can, sort of fix like a little oven, to your back car battery, and cook food that way. And she literally does that for like 3 months out in the woods, and she's had some good experiences, and one really almost clear encounter with a Bigfoot type creature. And Shelley, I think quite rightly points out that, well, she's out there, in the woods for 3 months. Most people aren't doing that, and they certainly aren't doing it miles and miles deep into the Pacific Northwest forest, and I think not everybody has the ability or the time to do that. Fortunately, Shelley can. And if you ever had on a show, you get a really cool show, because she can tell you about all her experiences and, the hazards of going on expeditions like this, but also the benefits and the good things that can come out of it. But I mean, she's dedicated to sort of that 3-month period of finding what she can. And I think that is the best way to do it, is if you have the ability and the time, etc., etc., the best way to get the answers, or the most likely way to get the answers, is to actually go and look for them,
Well, I have found that if you want to know the facts about anything, the best way to do that is just to go and find them.
Yeah, yep. I mean, so for some people it is difficult.
If you have that opportunity, you're right. Like your friend Shelley being able to do that, not everyone can.
No, that's right. They can't. And if you happen to live in an area where, fortunately, there is active Bigfoot reports, or you live 10 miles away from a lake that has a lake monster tradition attached to it, in those situations it does make it easier if there's something almost on your doorstep. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is unfortunate, that I can't do that. I can't take 3 months off and just vanish. Not many people can, but the ones who can do it and who do it usually are the ones who have some success, because they really are dedicated and spending so much time, in terms of doing what they can just to get the answers.
Well, and then they share them, which is the best part.
Actually, me and Shelley, every October, we do a series of lectures at the school, what's called the Highland Park school area in Dallas, and we go and lecture to the kids every year about on cryptozoology, and the kids are all sort of 7, 8, 9 years old, and they love hearing stories all about Bigfoot and the Chupacabra and Nessie, and it's kind of like a cool thing for Halloween we do for them, where they can have a couple of hours, instead of doing math or history or geography, they get a lecture on monsters, so they kind of love that break from regular lessons, classes, so we do that every Halloween, and it usually coincides where Shelley's just come back, say, after, a few months out there, so she's got all new photographs and stories to tell the kids and so on.
That's
and
brilliant.
It's a good way to get kids, outside as well, It encourages them to get outside and play and have a good time as well. So.
Well, anything that will get a child outside and using their imagination is a wonderful thing. There's not enough of that anymore.
Mm-mm. Well, we kind of do like a fun series of lectures for them, where it's a little bit kind of spooky but fun and exciting, and sort of, and they kind of get a kick out of that, sort of wondering what's coming next,
Well, I think it's wonderful. And how did you get the school system to let you in to do that? That's a
funny enough,
thing.
actually, one of the teachers contacted me and said, we'd like to do something different a little bit for like the Halloween period, and instead of just having the kids sort of in a fun day dressing up as witches and zombies or whatever, they'd looked me up and saw that I live locally and that I'd investigated things like Bigfoot, the Chupacabra, and lake monsters, all that kind of stuff. And they said, would you be interested in coming along and doing a lecture that talks, that would be entertaining and fun for them, but also looks at the idea that they really do exist and how you go and look for them. So that's what I did. And then I think it was after the second year, then Shelley started coming with me, and we've been doing it now for about 5 or 6 years, something like that now. And but what's kind of cool is that after every lecture, the teachers get all the kids to send artwork and paintings and crayon drawings of the things we talked about, like in the lectures. And so that's cool. We get sort of huge packages of artwork, where somebody's done sort of 6-year-old kid's done a picture of the Chupacabra chasing a Bigfoot or something like that, And somebody sent me this little girl who was about 7. She sent like a painting, and it was a picture of the Chupacabra, and next to it was a man, and the Chupacabra got the man's arm in his mouth.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so I thought that was quite funny, that she should actually think about not just drawing the Chupacabra, but a picture of it tearing this guy's arm off.
Well, that's a whole different side of the imagination.
Yeah, I thought, well, she may turn out, to be a monster hunter,
Well, she may be. Or, a set director, set designer. Well,
but I thought it was kind of refreshing as well that, the kids at the Highland Park School, they really enjoy it and they really get into it, and a lot of it is, teaching people about, going out into the woods and having fun, and also being aware, of hazards out there. So, they learn something and they have a lot of fun for Halloween,
Just brilliant. And you know what? We're actually going to take this break just to be different. Why not? But I am having so much fun, and I would like to talk about the Chupacabras when we come back, if that's okay, because that's something I don't know much about, and I find them fascinating.
Okay.
And this is going to be 2 minutes. We will be right back with you. Thanks for being here.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Hello there, welcome back. Amazingly enough, this is our final segment with Nick Redfern. This has gone so quickly. We have covered all kinds of information, and